Hello. Thank you for choosing this channel. This week, we have decided to do something a little different from our usual content. We will return to our usual content next week, but for now, there are more important matters at hand. A somber anniversary is approaching yet again, and it involves the disappearance of 3 children. We have decided to discuss the disappearance of the Skelton brothers, covering the latest updates in the case. We hope that by keeping the case in the public eye, we can help provide answers for the family. In the same area of Michigan, another family is now seeking answers regarding their missing loved one. The family of Brianna Soto is searching for information that can help lead to her whereabouts. This case needs help from the public to move forward. The more we discuss missing persons cases like these, the more we can generate public interest that will hopefully lead to helpful information. This is where I normally promote our channel, but given the subject matter of this episode, that feels incredibly inappropriate and disrespectful. Instead, I'll ask you to use the information in this video to start discussions, talk about these cases with others, and help keep their stories moving forward. And with that, let's begin. The disappearance of Brianna Soto. Every year in the United States, over 600,000 people go missing. The majority of these people are safely located. This, however, has not been the case for 28-year-old Brianna Marie Soto. On May 19, 2023, Brianna went missing from the area of Center and Treat Streets in Adrian, Michigan. Adrian is located in southeast Michigan's Lenawee County. It's situated about halfway between Toledo, Ohio, and Ann Arbor, Michigan. While the circumstances surrounding her disappearance have not been made public, it has been suggested in public forums that she may have been visiting a friend or acquaintance in that area. Since that day, family and friends have not been able to get in touch with Brianna. It has now been more than a year since Brianna was last seen or heard from. Since May of 2023, there has been no activity in Brianna's bank account, no record of any hospital visits, and no sign that Brianna has used social media or even her cell phone. Detective Sergeant Kevin Putnam with the Adrian Police Department is the detective in charge of Brianna's missing persons case. Lack of activity would tend to imply this is not just a missing persons case, said Putnam. This lack of activity has led detectives to believe that the circumstances of her disappearance are likely much more sinister. Brianna's family has been completely devastated by her disappearance. I just would really like for someone to just come forward and tell us where she's at, said Brianna's mom, Heather Frank. It's just really hard. I never ever thought I'd have to go through something like this. I think somebody hurt her. I don't think Brianna's alive anymore. I can't feel her in my heart like I can my other 2 girls. The family is desperate for any information leading to Brianna's whereabouts, even if the news isn't good. They just want to know what happened to their beloved daughter, sister, and friend. That's all I have, is just memories from when she was a baby to March or May or April of last year, said Heather. That's all I got. Brianna has missed many holidays and a birthday since she was last seen. She would now be 29 years old. Brianna is a white female around 5'1" and 180 pounds. She has red hair and hazel eyes. Brianna has multiple tattoos, including music notes on her arms, Winnie the Pooh, a bulldog, and a child or a Flintstones character. Other identifying marks include a scar above her right eye and a birthmark on the back of her neck. She's known to frequent the Adrian, Michigan area and has family in Adrian and its surrounding communities. Recently, an anonymous community member has offered a $10,000 reward for information that leads to the arrest and conviction of the person responsible for Brianna's disappearance. I'm very hopeful that someone does come forward, said her mother. The reward was not something that I thought was ever going to happen. I mean, we're very blessed that somebody has done that for us to help us try to find out what happened to her, Most importantly, Brianna's family does not want her case to be forgotten. The more we talk about it, the more people know about it, the more people hear about it, and hopefully someone will come forward, her mom said. The family and detectives have done everything they can to chase down leads and keep her story in the spotlight. After a year and a half, the fate of the case is in the hands of the public. Without more information, nothing can be done to locate Brianna or provide the family with any sort of closure. If you have information about Brianna's disappearance, please put yourself in Brianna's family's shoes. You can contact Detective Sergeant Kevin Putnam with the Adrian Police Department at 517-264-4808. Further contact information can be found in the video's description. The disappearance of the Skelton brothers. Thanksgiving is fast approaching, and every year I am reminded of 3 little souls who disappeared on Thanksgiving 14 years ago. Those 14 years have been a whirlwind of heartache for their family, and they still have no answers after all this time. Hopefully this year that will change. On Thanksgiving in 2010, Andrew, Alexander, and Tanner Skelton, ages 9, 7, and 5 respectively, spent the holiday with their father, John Skelton, in Morenci, Michigan. Morenci is in Lenawee County, near the Michigan border with Ohio. The boys' mother, Tanya Zuvers, was expecting to pick them up the following day. She had been awaiting communication from John to determine a pickup time for the following day, and when she could not get in contact with him, she went to his house to try to sort out the details. Tanya had filed for divorce on September 13th of that year, and she and John were in the midst of a custody battle. Despite having sole custody of her sons, Tanya had allowed them to spend time with John and his family for Thanksgiving. When she arrived at John's home, she discovered that he was not there. She was able to track him down to a local hospital, where she learned he was being treated for a broken ankle after attempting to hang himself in his home. Concerned for her children and unable to get answers from John, Tanya reported her children missing to the police. After receiving the missing persons report, police immediately launched an investigation. Officers were able to make entry into John's home, where they found the house in disarray. The rope from John's suicide attempt was still hanging from a banister in the home, and a police report details finding multiple toe straps in the home. The boys, however, were nowhere to be found. When questioned, John gave several conflicting stories to police. He first told them that he had left the boys with friends, before changing his story to say he had given them to a woman named Joanne Taylor, whom he did not really know but had met when her car was broken down on the side of the road. He then told police he had given them to an underground organization that would help keep the boys safe. John said he believed Tanya was a danger to the children. In October, he had filed for custody, alleging that Tanya posed a threat to their children because she was a registered sex offender. Police did not buy John's story about the underground group, and he was charged with child abandonment. Through witness interviews, cell phone records, and other evidence, police were able to determine that between 4:29 a.m. and 6:46 a.m. on the day after Thanksgiving, John traveled 25 miles from his home to Holland City, Ohio. Many searches were conducted in this area and others, and every lead was followed to its conclusion. No trace of the brothers was ever found. Detectives were unable to find any evidence suggesting that the underground group John spoke of actually existed, and John has refused to provide any information about the group. Joanne Taylor was proven to be merely a figment of his imagination. Evidence from John's computer showed that a week before his sons disappeared, he had searched the words, "how to break a neck." In September of 2011, John was charged with 3 counts of unlawful imprisonment. He pleaded no contest to the charges and was sentenced to 10 to 15 years in prison. He has continued to invent new lies from behind bars. In a 2018 interview with local NBC news station WDIV, he claimed to have given the boys to two women and a man in their 60s who planned to take them to be hidden on a farm along the Ohio-Indiana border. In another conversation with police, he claimed reality TV star Mose Gingrich, a former member of the Amish community, had information that could help bring his children back. Police did indeed reach out to Mose Gingrich, and he was astonished by John's claims. Despite his shock at the allegations, Gingrich agreed to help police and traveled to the Ionia, Michigan prison where John is being held. When brought face to face with Gingrich, John became upset and looked as if he might be sick, eventually admitting that he had made up the story about Gingrich's involvement. Over the years, John Skelton has been eligible for parole several times. The community showed up in droves to make sure John served his full sentence. The parole board was flooded with letters requesting that John be made to serve out his full sentence. Many community members have voiced their opinion that John should be kept in prison until he reveals the boys' whereabouts. If they can't go home, why should he? John's parole has been denied each time, and in August of 2023, his parole was permanently denied, meaning he will be required to serve his full sentence with no further opportunities for parole. John is set to be released in November of 2025. In June of 2024, the boy's mother made the heartbreaking decision to have her children declared legally deceased. In a statement, Tanya said, "This decision came after much thought and discussion with my family and friends. It did not come lightly and was definitely a difficult decision to make. No parent wants to lose a child, but to have the courts step in and declare them deceased is just unfathomable. At the end of the day, one person is responsible for the disappearance of my sons. That person, at one point, claimed the boys would hibernate until they graduate. As of today, June 14th, 2024, all three boys are over 18 and all would have graduated high school, yet they have not been returned to me and are still missing. At this time, we as a family are asking for our privacy as we continue to process this." Tanya's lawyer took the opportunity to point out that John's lies and alleged motives do not match his behaviors. "If John felt his boys were unsafe with Tanya," he said, "and he was truly able to hide the boys with an underground group for their safety, why would he attempt suicide? Why would he tell multiple lies and provide misdirection for the police? If his story were true, one would be led to believe that he should be happy in his endeavor to hide the boys, not suicidal. Why lie, deceive, misdirect, and withhold information? His actions do not match up with the multiple lies he is told," the lawyer wrote. The full petition contains details of John's inconsistencies, and a link to the document can be found in this video's description. The hearing for this petition is scheduled to take place from December 11th through 16th, 2024. 14 years later, the boys' hometown of Morenci continues to hold an annual vigil. Another anniversary is quickly approaching, and those who love the boys want nothing more than to bring an end to this case. If you have any information that can lead investigators in the right direction, please make sure to reach out to detectives. Contact information can be found in the video's description. Thank you for joining me for this week's episode. I sincerely appreciate your attention to these important missing persons cases. Please remember to share these stories far and wide so we can do our part to bring these people home to their loved ones. I'll be back next week with our usual content.